Persephone. In winter, when ice coats the thin arms of small trees and flowers die for lack of sun, Persephone can be found among the dead. She is their queen. She did not even mean to be so, but it happened. On the earth, Persephone had been a lovely young maiden. She had loved life, all of it. The quiet deer of the forest, the scent of rain, and Persephone had loved best the flowers. She was most at home in a garden. Persephone was a mortal, but her mother, Demeter, was the goddess of growing things. It was Demeter who fed the world, and this pleased her, but the true source of Demeter's happiness was her flower daughter, Persephone. And one day Persephone caught the eye of Hades. Hades, god of the underworld, he ruled the dead. Hades rarely left the underworld, but one day he went above. Moving over the land, Hades saw Persephone walking in her garden, and he wanted her. Soon after, Persephone found herself suddenly drawn toward an exquisite new bloom, as if in a spell. She moved toward the iridescent, beckoning petals. She reached out, and the ground opened up beneath her. A massive hand reached up for her long hair, and in one terrible moment she was gone. Lying at Hades' feet on the cold floor of the underworld, Persephone felt the blood draining away. Life moved out of her, and death moved in. The god set young Persephone on a throne beside him, and announced that she was now his wife and queen. And Persephone did what she had to do. Like a wildflower in the wind, Persephone bent herself to Hades' will. She did what he asked and accepted what he offered. Hades wanted a wife, and now he had one. Meanwhile, in the world above, things were unfolding. Demeter had been told what had happened to her daughter, and when Demeter learned that her young daughter had died, such devastation and fury shook the earth and the heavens. Demeter's grief was deeper and larger and louder than any mortal's grief could ever be, for she was of the gods. Everything about her was both great and terrible. The goddess streaked a path to Zeus's throne. There she tore at her hair and howled out her misery. She begged Zeus to get her daughter back. Only the most powerful god in the universe could overturn the girl's fate. But Zeus refused. He reminded the goddess that no mortal who enters the underworld ever leaves it. It was a universal law. And with that answer, Demeter's spirit died. She returned to earth, and everything began to perish. All green things turned brown and withered. Demeter curled her into herself as the decaying stems of the flowers curled into death, and all living creatures began to starve. Zeus saw this happening and knew he must intervene. He called for Hermes, the messenger god, and he instructed Hermes to descend to the underworld with an order to let Persephone go. Hermes was then to return the girl to her mother. Swift Hermes descended. When he arrived at Hades' throne, he found the dark god and the pale bride sitting in silence. Hermes led Persephone out of the underworld. As she ascended, color returned to her face and her eyes shone. Back in her gardens, she let her fingers softly stroke the flowers as she passed by. Flowers, like the girl, coming again to life. Persephone was delivered to her mother, but before Hermes left her, he remembered the critical question Zeus had told him to ask. Hermes asked the girl if she had eaten anything in the underworld. To his astonishment and Demeter's, Persephone answered yes. Hades had offered her a pomegranate. He had told her that the gray in her face worried him. Eat this fruit, Hades had told her. Be well. And holding the glistening ruby-red pomegranate in her hands, small part of Persephone that remembered life was awakened. Some small part of her remembered who she was. She ate of the pomegranate, and that choice made all the difference to her fate. For anyone who partakes of food in the underworld is bound to Hades forever. Zeus was informed of Persephone's disastrous choice, and he knew he must somehow avoid a repeat of Demeter's vengeance on the earth. He must please both the mother and the husband. Thus, Zeus decreed that Persephone would spend a part of every year with her mother in life and a part of every year with her husband in death. And that is how it has been since. When Persephone is with Demeter, all things on earth grow green and blossom. And when Persephone is with Hades, the earth is icy cold and draws into itself until her return. Number 1. What is the author's main purpose of paragraph 1? A. To introduce the readers to a lovely maiden named Persephone. B. To explain why Persephone can be found among the dead during winter. C. To describe the story's winter time setting. D. To cause readers to ask how Persephone became the queen of the dead. Number 2. What common purpose do both paragraphs 3 and 4 share? A. To introduce an important character to the story. B. To explain the story's main problem. C. To tell readers more about what Persephone loved. D. To reveal what Persephone thought about her parents. Number 3. Which paragraph sentence does the author include to signal a change in setting? A. Paragraph 9. B. Paragraph 10. C. Paragraph 11. D. Paragraph 12. Number 4. What was the name of the messenger god? A. Demeter. B. Hermes. C. Hades. D. Zeus. Number 5. What do paragraphs 19 and 27 have in common? A. They introduce new characters important to the story. B. They reveal the motivation behind the god's behavior in the story. C. They explain the main problems in the story. D. They describe Zeus's solutions to the main problem in the story.